Hello, I'm Dr. Everett McCorvin. I'm director of UK Opera Theater at the University of Kentucky. I'm also the artistic director of Opera Lex. We are delighted to be able to bring you this performance of the Schmidt Opera Outreach Program, or as we call it, SOOP. SOOP is over 20 years old, and our students and alumni have performed throughout the entire Commonwealth. Our goal is to reach all 120 counties and introduce kids to opera. We hope that you will enjoy this SOOP performance.
Welcome back to the second installment of an introduction to the wonderful world of opera. As Dr. Teddy shared with you during our first installment, I'm a professional opera singer. So I'm so excited that you guys get a chance to experience an art form of which I love. Let's see what Dr. Teddy has in store for us for this installment. Take it away, Dr. Teddy.
Hi kids, it's Professor Teddy here to tell you more about opera. It's nice to see you all. You might wonder how opera got started. It's been around for a very long time. About 450 years ago, some people in Florence, Italy decided they wanted to tell a story with music. And so opera was born, and through all of the years since then, lots of different composers in lots of different styles have written operas for our entertainment. We have Italians to thank for that, and because of that, today all of the opera that we're going to hear is in the language of Italian, although opera can be written in any language, and you'll be glad to know that there's English words in the frame of each of these examples so that you'll know what they're saying as the music goes by. But I'll explain what's happening also. Today I want us to focus on the idea of how music in an opera helps to reveal the character who is singing that piece. Before we go any farther, you should know that in an opera, a song is called an aria. That's an Italian word, and why don't you say it with me? Aria. And so you'll sound like you know exactly what you're talking about when you, instead of saying a song from an opera, it's an aria from an opera. And first I want us to hear two contrasting arias about the same thing. In both of these arias, a girl is about to get married, and she's happy about it, but her character is different in each one, and so the music sounds very different, as you'll see. In this first example, it's from a famous opera called The Marriage of Figaro by Mozart. Can you say Mozart? Mozart. Very good. He was a very great composer. And in the end of this opera, a girl named Susanna is waiting in a garden, and they're about to play a trick on somebody, but you don't really need to know that for this aria. She's really looking forward to, after they play the trick, she's going to get married to Figaro, and she loves him so much, and it's been quite a time trying to get to the place of finally being married. And so she's so content and happy at last. And you'll hear in this music, it's very sweet and serene and content and calm, just like a girl full of bliss on her wedding night. This is a great American soprano named Kathleen Battle singing Devieni non tardar, come on, hurry up, from Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro.
Gioia
Isn't that beautiful? Can't you just feel how happy and content she is just from the sound of the music in that aria? Well, now we're going to visit another bride. This is actually Cinderella. In Italian, Cinderella is called Cenerentola, and so that's the name of this opera. And this is by Rossini. Why don't you say that with me? Rossini. Very good. And at the end of this opera, of course, Cinderella has vanquished the wicked stepsisters, and the prince has found her, and she's now going to live happily ever after. But instead of seeming very sweet and content about it, she is excited. She is full of excitement about her married life. And this aria, Non più mesta, means I am never going to be sad again. And boy, can you hear it in this music. This is an Italian singer, Cecilia Bartoli, singing the end of Cenerentola.
Non più mesta canto il fuoco staro sulla noppeggiar no a fullan pulisso non gioco il mio lungo colpita non più mesta accanto il fuoco non più mesta accanto al fuoco sta rossa a fullan pulso non gioco il mio lungo non più me a fulano sogno gioco in vita a fulano un sogno gioco a fulano un sogno un un sogno un
My goodness, can you imagine all of those notes coming out of your mouth? Oh, what a fantastic singer she is. But again, all of that music is in the service of the character and the story, and there is no mistaking how very happy she is that she's finally getting married to the love of her life. Now, in opera, there are a special kind of singer called tenors. These are men with very high voices, very dramatic and loud, and they are sometimes the most beautiful singers that you can imagine. And we're going to hear now two of the most famous of the great opera tenors. But I've chosen them because I want you to hear these arias and because of how they show the character in these pieces. So in the first one, this is a famous tenor named Luciano Pavarotti. Why don't you say that with me? Pavarotti. Very good. He was an Italian tenor and very famous for singing Italian roles, such as by this composer, Verdi. Why don't you say that with me? Verdi. Very good. In this opera called Rigoletto, the tenor plays a role of a duke. And this duke is not a very nice man. He treats women very disrespectfully and sort of dates all of them and never cares about any of them. And what's even worse, he accuses them of being that way, whereas he's really the one who's fickle and plays around. So a very unlikable sort of character. But you'll hear in this music that he is very sort of full of himself and confident and free because he's rich and he's powerful. So he doesn't have very many worries at all, and you can hear that in the music. It just sounds very easygoing and confident. But also you'll hear that even though he's saying all of these awful things about women that are actually true about himself, he isn't very deep as a person. His soul is not very well developed. And so you can hear in this music actually how Verdi is showing us that he's a really shallow person and that he doesn't care about much of anything beyond his own pleasure. You can actually hear that in this light-hearted music. And while we're at it, you may even recognize this music because it's one of the most famous tunes ever written for an opera.
S'affida o chi le confida mal cauto il cuore ormai non sente sì felice appieno chi in su quel seno non viva amore la donna è mobile qua più malevento usa d'accerto e di pensiero e di pensiero
Isn't that amazing how high his voice can go and how beautiful the sound of it is? And again, we're not talking about a character who's nice, but in opera, we want to hear beautiful singing even if the character is despicable like that Duke is. Now, let's hear a different kind of tenor aria. This is a very dramatic and heavy and sad aria, and again, a really famous one. This tenor is Placido Domingo. Can you say Domingo with me? 1, 2, 3. Domingo. He's another very famous opera star. And this is one of his most famous parts of Canio, the clown in I Pagliacci. I Pagliacci is the Italian word for the clowns. And in this opera, poor Canio realizes that not only does his wife not love him, but she's fooling around with somebody else. And even though his heart is breaking, he still has to put on his clown makeup and go on stage and make people laugh. And so in this famous aria, Canio is doing that. He's getting made up to go on and be the clown while revealing how sad and tragic he feels about his life. This is called irony, when the composer or the writer makes something that is sad seem happy at the same time, or something that is happy seem sad at the same time. Here, we're comparing in the same aria a clown who's supposed to make people laugh being played by a man whose heart is breaking. So now you've heard two very famous tenor arias, and you can feel very proud of yourself for that. Now, one last aria that I want us to hear today reveals something further about a character. This is from an opera called The Barber of Seville, and this character is a mean man who has a very low voice. In opera, a man with a low voice is called a bass. And in this case, the man is singing about slander. Do you know what slander is? Slander is malicious gossip. It's when you say things, spreading rumors about people, especially that are mean and unkind and not true. And this man is planning to do that very thing. And so he talks about how slander, or as the name of the aria in Italian, la calunnia, how calunnia, slander, how it works is that first it starts off as a little whisper and a small rumor, and then gradually it grows and grows and grows into a deafening sound of everyone talking about it. And then Rossini goes one step further with this character, and the character says, and the person who has been slandered, the person who's being talked badly about, always starts to feel sort of uncomfortable and then feels more and more terrible until they wish they could die. Have you ever been the victim of slander? Or have you ever slandered someone else? It happens a lot in our world. And so what's fun about this aria is that we see a mean man who's about to slander somebody talk about how slander works in gleeful terms. Now, we know it's a bad thing, but Rossini makes him comical by exaggerating how mean he seems, by how much he seems to enjoy the thought of spreading these bad rumors about somebody. And so, again, we have irony taking place where the music tells us more about the character than just the words alone would do.
La calunnia è un venticello, una urita assai gentile e che insensibile e sottile, leggermente dolcemente incomincia sussurrar piano piano, terra terra, sottovoce, sibilando, va scorrendo, barandando, e l'orecchio della gente si introduce destramente nelle teste di cervelli, fa stordire, fa gonfiare. Dalla bocca fuori uscendo, lo schiamazzo va crescendo, prende forza poco, e vola già di loco in loco, sembra il tuono la tempesta, e nel sen della foresta va fischiando, brontolando, e ti fa d'orror gelare, alla mintra bocca scoppia, si propaga, si raddoppia, e produce un'esplosione, come un colpo di cannone, come un colpo di cannone. Un tremoto, un temporale, quanto molto c'è l'errore, che fa gli orli a rimbombare. Un tremoto, un temporale, quanto molto c'è l'errore, che fa gli orli a rimbombare. Il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestoso, sotto le pubblica plagare la sorte aggrari. Il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagello per gran sorte va a crepare. E meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagello per gran sorte va a crepare. E il meschino calunniato, umiliato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il fuoco flagello per gran sorte può crepar. Sotto il fuoco flagello per gran sorte può crepar. Sotto il fuoco flagello per gran sorte può crepar. Se può crepar, se può crepar, se può crepar.
That was a famous Italian bass named Ruggero Raimondi singing La Calunnia. Isn't that fun? Did you hear and feel all of the energy that he brought to playing this mean guy? How fun it must be to get to play a villain sometimes. In that same opera, the main character, Figaro, is the barber of Seville. And in the aria that introduces him into the opera, he comes on stage with this very energetic aria talking about how he is the busiest man in town. Everyone needs all of the things that he can do, and he never stops working on behalf of all of his customers. And so to leave you today on this note, this is our friend Michael Priestley in the role of Figaro in The Barber of Seville, singing this famous aria about how busy he is. It's called Largo al Factotum, and I hope you enjoy our friend Michael performing this aria.
Totem delle città, largo, la 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 la, presto bottega che la già presto, la 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 la. Ah, che bel vivere, che bel piacere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. Ah, bravo Figaro, bravo, bravissimo, bravo! La 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 la, fortunatissimo per verità, bravo! La 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 la, fortunatissimo per verità, fortunatissimo per verità, la 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 la. Pronto fa tutto, la volta in giorno, sempre d'intorno, in giro sta. Mille compagna per un barbiere, di ter più nobile non lo si dà. La 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 la. Rasori e pettini, lancette e forbici, al comando tutto qui sta. Lancette e forbici, rasori e pettini, al comando tutto qui sta. Bella risorsa, poi del mestiere, con la donnetta, col cavaliere, con la donnetta, la 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 la, col cavaliere, tra la 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 la. Che dire, che bel piacere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. Tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, donne e ragazzi, vecchi fanciulle, qua la parrucca, presso la barba, qua la sanguigna, presto biglietto, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, qua la parrucca, presso la barba, questo biglietto è Figaro, 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 ohimè, ohimè, che furia, ohimè, che foglia, uno alla volta, per carità, per carità, per carità, uno alla volta, uno alla volta, uno alla volta, per carità. Figaro, son qua. Figaro, son qua, Figaro là, Figaro qua, Figaro là, Figaro su, Figaro giù, Figaro su, Figaro giù, molto moltissimo, son qua in fuori, sono fantato nelle città, nelle città, nelle città, nelle città, della città. Bravo Figaro, bravissimo, Figaro, bravissimo, fortunatissimo, 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 per verità. La 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 la. Fortunatissimo, 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 per verità. Sono il vecchio della città, sono il vecchio della città, della città. Della città.
Thank you for joining us for this SOOP performance. If you'd like more information, please contact us at www.ukoperatheater.org. We hope that we can bring a live performance to your community. Thanks to the UK College of Fine Arts and to Opera Lex for making this opportunity possible.